All right, welcome in, boys. And Jay Save America, episode 6. Took the week off last week, had a lot of stuff going on with work, but we're back. I am Jay. He is Ant. What's going on, Ant?
Oh, nothing much. Just dying of heat exhaustion here in the Midwest. Third day in a row, the highs hit 100 degrees with 115-degree indexes, so that sucks.
Really?
Yeah, we almost had to stop golfing on Monday. We didn't, but the last three holes we were kind of slogging through. It was pretty rough going.
70 degrees over here. Beautiful in New Jersey, the great old East Coast.
Oh, I would kill for 70 degrees right now. I would absolutely kill for 70 degrees, especially since I work outside. So that's going to be rough.
You look like you got a little sun. At least
Yeah, I'm red, like all over. Yep. So I'm outside all day for work. I'm in my truck all day for work, and then I, spend all weekend golfing. So I'm basically outside in 100-degree weather for like 6 straight days, and it's not fun. I'll tell you what, like working in this kind of weather, it's not fun. It's pretty dangerous. Everybody just wants to like die. So,
well,
a bit unpleasant.
Little heat exhaustion never hurt anybody, bro. I mean,
I don't know. I wasn't happy.
Well, you know what? I take that back. It probably hurt a few people.
Yeah.
There have probably been some people hurt by heat exhaustion. Well, a lot of shit's happened in the world in the last 2 weeks.
Hawaii's on fire. Let's see. Hawaii caught on fire. California had an earthquake happen while it was hit with a tropical storm.
And a tornado in the same day.
And a tornado? I thought the tropical tropical storms make tornadoes.
Right. It was a hurricane-nado in California.
Jesus Christ. Shark. All they need next is like sharks for a sharknado, huh? And then honestly though, with everything that happened there in California, where they're just getting wrecked all at the same time, I think that was God trying to tell them to pay their writers and actors.
50 million people. You're just stumbling over homeless people in LA, no matter where you walk. There's like they're about 3 earthquakes away from just falling into the ocean. I can't imagine why anybody would want to live in California right now. Like literally, yeah, I've been to California a few times.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's okay.
I don't know.
At this point, I think I'd rather live in Montana. Beautiful Montana. Live like Yellowstone.
Beautiful. Like, what do you mean?
It's great. Beautiful. It is. I'm not joking. Yeah, no, I'd rather. California's a shit show.
Yeah, California's problem is like they don't have any housing, so like they just have all those homeless people. But like if they just, got rid of the homeless problem, it'd be a great place to live. If it didn't cost $1 million for a 800 square foot shack, probably be a great place to live.
Crime would fall. There wouldn't be porta potties on every corner. It would definitely get better for sure.
I think if you and I just moved to California and took over their government, we could have it all fixed in no time.
Nobody wants me in charge of anybody's government, bro.
Bro, What they need is just some obnoxious douchebag from Jersey like you. When you go to like all those city council meetings in California where it's just nothing but NIMBYs crying about the thought of affordable housing being built within a site of their mansion, and you just tell them to shut the fuck up. You're building the affordable housing. Project approved. And you just do that, 10,000 times in a row, they could probably solve all their problems, other than the fact that they have earthquakes and tropical storms hitting them at the same time. I don't know how you can fix the problem.
Tornado.
and the tornado. I don't know how you can fix that problem, but I think we could just with some good old fashioned backhanding fix their NIMBY problem because that's out of control.
All right, we got some boys in the chat. Welcome in. Like we always do, run through 10 topics and get out of here. First up, the Joe Biden experience.
I did mention Hawaii was on fire.
Yeah, Hawaii's residents slam President Biden.
Wait, back up. How did you say that?
Huh?
Hawaii?
Yeah.
It's Hawaii.
I say Hawaii. I don't know.
Hawaii. Is that how New Jersey people say Hawaii?
It's Hawaii, bro. Do I have to go Hawaii? Like, can't I just go Hawaii? Hawaii? Do I have to go?
You don't have to go Hawaii. It's just like, it's Hawaii.
I want to just say Hawaii. Didn't I just say that?
No, Hawaii. You said Hawaii. It's Hawaii. It hits the ear wrong. I don't know. I've never heard you say Hawaii before. This is very bizarre to me. Okay, let's move on.
Cancel culture has not shut down this show yet. Okay, it has not. Listen, I don't judge me on how I speak. I say Hawaii. Is that okay?
It's Hawaii. You almost.
That's what I just said.
No, you said Hawaii.
Hawaii. Is that better?
Well, there is a discernible E as the last vowel sound in the name of Hawaii.
Okay, Hawaii. Okay.
Now it sounds weird because you're overemphasizing the E just to irritate.
All right,
let's move on.
Listen, man, the little island that's a state in the United States, their residents slam President Biden over the disaster response. Any thoughts in general?
Yeah, my main response is I understand why they're pissed off at Joe Biden about his delayed response to the whole Maui situation. And it baffles me because I don't think Barack Obama had like really big natural disasters, but I know Trump had some and Bush had some. And so now Biden's like the third president in a row to bungle a national disaster response and I just cannot understand how these presidents keep doing it.
I mean,
this motherfucker, this old ass motherfucker, literally the entire state's on fire,
and the press corps
confirmed dead,
right?
And he hasn't talked about it at all. And then when the reporters ask him while he's on vacation in like Lake Tahoe, he says no comment. That's like his initial response to like
in that Biden whisper. Like sometimes he doesn't get like the full, like, he's not full throated in his voice. He's like, no comment. You know what I mean? Like the dude, he's gonna die next week.
Yeah, probably. But I just don't understand how these presidents just keep doing this. Like
brutal. It was almost as bad, and I say almost because it was bad. Almost as bad as Trump shooting basketball jumpers with paper towels.
The problem with Trump
almost as bad.
The problem with Trump was I can't blame Trump fully for his delayed response to that hurricane in Puerto Rico, because I don't think Trump realized he was the president of Puerto Rico. I think someone had to like nudge him and go, Donald, Mr. President, like, aren't you going to do something about Puerto Rico? And I, honest to God, think he was like, well, don't they? Why does the Puerto Rican president deal with it? And then they had to go, no, that's you, Mr. President.
That's definitely possible. That's definitely possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, I like that more than what Joe Biden did.
Yeah, Joe Biden's is, in my opinion, Joe Biden's is more egregious because I could brush Trump's off as just Trump being a fucking idiot. Joe Biden's just like an old man who's like just can't be bothered with, the job.
He's a man baby. They're both man babies in totally different ways.
All right, so the headline reads, Angry Maui residents slam Biden, hold no comment signs during president's fire tour. Tour like 3 weeks after the wildfires. So this is in Lahaina. Man, what is with Hawaii and all their vowels in these names?
Oh, yeah. Who can't pronounce stuff now? Huh?
Yeah, from Lahaina, Hawaii, President Biden was greeted with middle fingers, chants of protest, and signs that said no comment Monday as he arrived in Maui to tour wildfire damage after repeatedly declining to comment last week on the tragedy that has killed at least 114 people. Now, side note, Hawaii voted for Joe Biden 2-1. Hawaii is one of the most democratic states we have. So when you're a Democratic president getting booed and flipped off by your own people, by other these are all Democrats.
It's a bad scene.
Yeah, that's a bad scene. You effed up, buddy. A group of several dozen residents of scorched western Maui heckled Biden's motorcade shortly after noon local time as he left tiny Kapulua Airport en route to the hardest hit areas of the historic Lahaina, which was destroyed on August 8th. Go home, Joe, the locals chanted as Biden passed by, moments before the president read a scripted speech touting the federal response, which is non-existent at the point. Despite criticism from residents who say not enough has been offered. The 80-year-old commander-in-chief, let's repeat that, the 80-year-old commander-in-chief has taken intense criticism, including from fellow Democrats, like the entire state of Hawaii, like 4 million fellow Democrats, for appearing aloof following the deadliest U.S. wildfires in more than a century. That's kind of an understatement. Biden's just aloof all the time. As he drove toward downtown Lahaina, Biden passed signs that said no comment, really $7.
Wait, pause. What is the really $7 thing?
He offered, they gave them like a $700 one-time disaster relief payment, I believe.
Oh, okay.
They gave them this disaster, the residents of Hawaii, they gave them $700 in disaster relief. At the same time, he's pushing for $25 billion in aid to Ukraine because, I have nothing against the Ukraine, but I'm not sure why we need to bankrupt ourselves for their defense.
That war has cost $1 trillion already. How is that possible?
It would have cost like $37 if we weren't literally funding them.
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy that California.
But I don't know what. All right, we're off on a.
I know, but it's crazy.
We get sidetracked so easily.
It's so crazy. It's just. I just don't understand why we don't take care of people in this country before.
Exactly. And here's another example. So the signs read, no comment, really $7. Actions speak louder than words. And FJB, we know what FJB stands for, as well as at least 2 flags promoting 2024 candidacy for Donald Trump.
Wow.
Where has the president been? Asked Dennis Mullen, 58, of nearby Kahana, who said that the airport hosting the presidential helicopter hasn't been used much to deliver needed supplies.
Look at this guy. Just look at this guy.
As much as I criticize Joe Biden, I will say this. That man can pull off a set of aviators.
You know who he reminds me of? Do you remember?
He's 80 years old, and look at him. Fantastic in the aviators. Even when he's fucking up, which he's totally fucking up on the job right now, put on a pair of aviators, I almost want to forgive him.
Do you remember Jim Carrey's Fire Marshal Bill on In Living Color?
Yes. Greatest character ever.
That's Joe Biden, bro. The way he talks.
Scroll up a little. Let me get a better look.
You're telling me that's not Fire Marshal Bill?
I don't know with the. Yeah, I can kind of see it.
Yeah, you can kind of see it. That's not Fire Marshal Bill. Now let me tell you something. Don't you remember Fire Marshal Bill, bro?
Yes.
I used to love that show. I love that's my new name for him. 100%.
Fire Marshal Bill. Let me show you something.
Yeah.
Anyways, as the article continues, any number of military aircraft, planes, and helicopters could have flown in here. To leave a town that was just devastated and shut down was just ridiculous. The runway wasn't cratered, Mullen told the Post. So basically, the guy's complaining that they used the airport to fly Joe Biden to do his little tour, but they haven't flown in any supplies. Meanwhile, Biden got the full White House treatment, delivering remarks from the lectern with the presidential seal amid the apocalyptic landscape following this month's deadly wildfires.
It's so fitting for deadly wildfires too. It's so fitting, Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah, so obviously, I think we kind of got the point here. The response has been slow from the federal government. The people from Hawaii have not gotten the aid that they need. And what I want to know is, why does this always happen? From it seems to be bipartisan now, with presidents just messing up natural disasters. We touched on it with Trump's slow response to the hurricane that destroyed Puerto Rico, to where when he finally did go down there, he just like tossing paper towels, and then you go back to Bush. I don't think Bush's approval ratings ever recovered after Katrina. With the response, with that slow response.
No, he was dead. Yeah. I mean, he couldn't really run again anyway, but I mean, actually, I don't know. Was that his first term?
No, that was his second. Hurricane Katrina was 2005, so that was his second term. But his approval ratings he was underwater on approval ratings after that.
The tagline was like, how many days could it possibly take FEMA to bring water to the Superdome? Remember?
Yeah. So I don't get it, man. I don't understand why presidents without exception just seem to fail at this. And they just seem aloof the whole time, you know?
Yeah. All right. Next up, I don't know if you've seen both documentaries, but I was big into this when the Fire Festival documentaries came out. So like I
did
all
see
about
them.
Billy McFarland.
Who did not watch the Fire Festival documentary?
I know, they were so good, bro. Well, he's at it again. Our guy Billy. I swear to God, he's bringing it back, bro. He's bringing the Fire Festival back, and I have to be honest, like, I wish that I didn't care what people thought about me as much as Billy McFarland doesn't care about what people think about him. I mean, it was the biggest scam, like it was the biggest festival scam, like of all time.
He's in prison, was in prison.
Well, I think he was in prison, right? He's a year out now, and he's doing it again. I almost respect it.
That's a set of balls that are like literally, I don't know. That's a big set of balls. How?
I almost respect it, dude. I almost respect it.
Oh my God. This headline: disgraced Fire Festival founder selling tickets for relaunch. I doubt he's selling any tickets.
I love it.
Former federal prisoner. I love how this starts. Federal prisoner. Yep. Former federal prisoner Billy McFarland is trying again to make Fire Festival happen. Who would do that? Who would like be in on this with him?
Who would fund it? Who would fund it? It's not his money.
The new endeavor is called Fire Festival 2. That's a great name because you know how Fire Festival 1 actually happened.
The first one never happened. Shouldn't it be called like version 1.1?
Exactly. Fire Festival 2 as compared to the first one that didn't
Yeah.
And they said, even though the original Fire Festival didn't ever really happen, and McFarland is aiming for an event to take place in the Caribbean at the end of 2024. So back to the Caribbean, too. No other concrete logistical details are provided because they don't exist. But nondescript VIP perks like fire experiences, fire flights, film screenings, and trips are advertised.
It's fantastic.
Who would do this?
Do we have a video? Because I want to try to find that if we have one.
Yeah, in a video announcing the ticket launch, McFarlane said it has been an absolute wildest journey to get here. Yeah, prison. And it really all started during the 7-month stint in solitary confinement. Well, that's why he was in solitary confinement. He went crazy. You know, people go crazy when they're in solitary confinement. This dude probably is like completely oblivious to like any rational thought at the moment.
They do.
Oh my God. Let's scroll down. I gotta see what this guy has to say. McFarlane teased Fire Festival 2 earlier this year and also wrote, going to crush the island version first, but Elon Musk, Fire 3 definitely needs to be in space. He's tweeting at Elon Musk that Fire Festival 3 needs to be in space.
I love it. I love it.
He also claimed to have secured funding for the new festival. Bullshit.
That's got to be a lie. That's got to be a lie. That's got to be a lie.
There's 0% chance that's it. Secure funding from fucking who?
I'll tell you what. Whoever those people are, I've got a bridge that I want to sell them.
Oh yeah, you live right by New York. You got like 7 bridges to sell them. Like 10
I got set. Yeah, I got like. Yep, I want to sell all
the Washington Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, I don't know all your guys' geography. You got about a few more you can think of, huh?
A lot of bridges.
Fire Festival, co-founded by McFarlane and Ja Rule. Oh, I forgot Ja Rule's a part of that. He was. God, poor Ja Rule. How did he get so entangled?
I'm a big Ja Rule.
I totally blanked that Ja Rule was actually a part of that whole thing.
I used to bump his music hard, bro, in the late 90s.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was promoted as a luxury musical festival meant to take place in the Bahamas back in 2017. Blink-182 were supposed to be there. They didn't show. Pusha T, never heard of them. K-Tranada, never heard of that person. You know, this is how out of touch I am. Outside of Blink-182, I've never heard of any of these artists who are supposed to be at the Fire Festival.
I know Little Yachty.
Is he any good?
I don't know. I mean, like, I've heard of him. I've never heard a song.
Okay. We're so old.
Yeah, we're super
anyways,
old.
The event, to say the least, was a disaster and led to McFarlane spending 4 years in federal prison on fraud charges. Hulu and Netflix also released documentaries about the Fire Festival.
Which, if you haven't seen them, were fantastic.
Oh, there is a link to the video right here in the article.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
What's up, guys? This is a big day because as of right now, Fire Festival 2 tickets are officially on sale. It has been the absolute wildest journey to get here, and it really all started during the 7th-month stint in solitary confinement. I wrote out this 50-page plan of how it would take this overall interest and demand in fire, and how it would take my ability to bring people from around the world together to make the impossible happen, but how it would find the best partners in the world to allow me to be me while executing Fire's vision to the highest level. In my first year, I partnered with one of the biggest and best TV companies in the world to produce a documentary called After the Fire.
Only 20 seconds.
I've also worked with one of the biggest production companies to sign a deal to produce Fire Festival, the Broadway musical. And finally,
wait, like a fraudster.
I will play that 3 more times.
He sounds like a salesman. He just sounds like some shitty car salesman. He sounds like.
I've also worked with one of the biggest production companies to sign a deal to produce Fire Festival, the Broadway musical. And finally,
bro, one more time.
Sign a deal to produce Fire Festival, the Broadway musical. And finally, today we're announcing Fire Festival 2. We spoke to people as far away as the Middle East and South America and.
Fuck this guy. All right. So
the audacity.
The audacity. A Broadway musical, bro?
I tell you what, I want him to I don't want him to succeed, but for some reason I really hope there's like lots of people who like just shit money down a toilet for this guy.
I hope that they go back and it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Total scam. Total scam. People in tents, like cheese sandwiches, like
well, here's
warm.
the difference. The first time you felt bad for those people, but if it happens again, like I would laugh my ass off at those people.
Shame on them.
Yeah, everyone knows the Fire Festival was a scam and you're going to try it again. Oh, I would laugh my ass off if it happened again.
I'm with
that would
you.
be so funny to me.
All right, next
Because
up.
honestly, like I really don't feel that bad when people get defrauded. Like
that's stupid. That's not a nice thing to say.
No, when it's let me like backtrack for a second. When people get defrauded, when it's like obviously a fraud, you know, like
you're talking about people that are just dumb enough, to get beat by incredibly,
like the Nigerian prince scam and all that stuff. Like you just give money to that. So like if the first go around with the Fire Festival, I felt bad for all those people because that was complete bullshit. But I'm just going to be honest. Like if it happened again, I wouldn't feel sorry for a single fucking person because you knew, right?
Yeah, like, I'm kind of with you there. I don't really disagree about that. All right, next up, locked and loaded in the loo after man pulls gun on a brother during a bathroom dispute. Now, I have a sister. I love her dearly. I could never imagine pulling a gun on her in a bathroom dispute. You?
No. Like I have a brother. I grew up. I shared a bathroom with like two brothers for the first 15 years of my life, and not one time was a gun ever pulled.
Oh, so you live in a normal family? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. Locked and loaded in the loo. All right, what is this art? Hold on, before you pull this article up.
Too late. Oh no. Okay.
I vaguely remember sending this to you, but I don't remember any of the details. Is this one of the Florida Men articles? Because this has to be.
No,
it's not.
No, it's not.
So this isn't even our Florida Man article of the day.
No, because that one's a banger. This is not that one.
So this title isn't even our Florida Man.
Correct.
Oh my God. All right, let's get to it. Let's scroll down so I can read this. This is
the title is basically the exact thing that we have written.
Oh, it's an Asian guy. I was expecting it to be like some cracked out white dude with a mullet.
Nope, Asian dude, bro. How about that?
Wow. So a man who allegedly pulled a firearm on his brother during a dispute over bathroom pollution. God dang it. How am I supposed to read this without laughing? A man who allegedly pulled a firearm on his brother during a dispute over bathroom privileges now faces charges of assault with a deadly weapon. On August 13th, the Coral Springs police. This is Florida.
Oh, it is
Coral Springs. Yeah, this is totally.
But this isn't our Florida Man, though. This isn't our Florida Man.
How the hell is this not Florida Man? A dude pulled. All right, but it's Florida. All right.
Yeah.
You lied to me. This is Florida.
Fair.
Of course, fucking Florida.
Fair.
On August 13th, the Coral Springs, Florida Police Department responded to a resident near the 300 block of who cares about the address? All right. So, according to the police report, officers encountered a man later identified as Frank Kim, 41, of Coral Springs, Florida, Jay, who claimed that the altercation began when his brother returned home and requested to use the bathroom. Well, when my brother is at my house and he's like, "Hey, can I use the bathroom?" I'm like, "Yeah, go use the bathroom." I don't see what the problem is here. Explaining his side of the story, Frank alleged to officers that he was in the process of cleaning the bathroom. So, why are we pulling out a gun just because your brother needs to take a shit while you're cleaning the bathroom?
Listen, bro, when you gotta go, you gotta go. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And he asked his brother, the victim, to wait. Actually, if I'm cleaning the bathroom and someone says, "Hey, I have to take a shit right now," you think you just want them to go ahead and take the shit.
There's a possibility that if they don't leave the bathroom, they're going to be cleaning it again.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're just going to have to clean it all over again. Like, oh, I'm cleaning the toilet. Don't take a poop.
Because
so
if somebody tells
like
me,
15 minutes, I can clean it all over again.
If somebody tells me no and I got to go, I'm going to drop a deuce on the bathroom tile floor. That's what I'm going to do. And
Anyways.
then they're going to have to, and then they're going to have to clean it up.
So this led to a verbal argument between the two siblings that escalated into a potentially deadly encounter, because we all know how reasonable it is to pull out firearms over the shitter. Frank alleged that his brother began throwing various household items, including a speaker. In an attempt to protect himself, he swatted away the speaker, resulting in let me read this again. I'm messing up. Frank alleged that his brother began throwing various household items, including a speaker. In an attempt to protect himself, he swatted away the speaker, resulting in an injury to his right thumb. According to records, Frank claimed that he drew his firearm as a last resort in self-defense, and he denied racking the gun or pointing it at his brother. I mean, I sure hope he didn't rack the gun and point it at his brother, because that's quite the escalation.
Yeah.
After speaking with Frank, officers interviewed the victim, who offered a different account of the eve. They explained that as the argument ensued, both individuals threw items at each other, and that Frank had drawn a firearm, racking it and pointing it in the direction while making threats. In fear for his life, the victim told police he fled the residence and called 911. The police report notes the siblings' mother was present during the incident.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
that's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Your mom's right there. Can you imagine that? She'd be like, boys, break it up. And you're like, fuck you, bitch. I'm killing this motherfucker.
Yeah. There are people out there like that.
Oh, my God. How are these people Asian? This is such a white trash story. Seriously, this is a trailer park. This is not a fight between Asians. This is a trailer park.
Well,
100%. How is this story not involve mullets and meth?
Sometimes Asians get angry.
Wow. So that's an interesting story. I've been in arguments with my siblings, as we all have. And I've been in arguments with my siblings over bathroom use, as we all have who've shared bathrooms with siblings. But a gun is out of pocket. Let's just
tough. So this is our Florida man story, and it is a great one. Florida woman covers herself in Mountain Dew to wash away DNA evidence after killing roommate. Anything? You got anything for that headline?
Florida woman covers herself in Mountain Dew.
Yep.
To wash away.
Did you know that Mountain Dew washes away DNA evidence? Because I didn't realize that until I read the article.
You got to read this to me, dude. I'm speechless. I don't know how to respond to this. This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever.
Bro, not for nothing. This is the 6th show. I think we've had like 3 Florida men and 3 Florida women. The women they might be more fucked up than the men.
Oh, 100%. Like, wasn't the last time we had like some woman pulling a alligator out of a vagina or something?
Look, like she looks like a normal person. Just a normal human being. Just, oh, well, I didn't see the neck tattoos. That's
yeah, she's definitely.
That could be a sign. That could be a sign. All right. Whether it's serving meth in soy sauce or wait, what? What? Whether it's serving meth in soy sauce or chugging twisted tea from an alligator, the people of the great state of Florida sure know how to make a headline. Honestly, a truer sentence has never been written in print. Ever. Ever.
This state's absurd, man.
I mean, it's great. It really is great. Latest story comes to us from Daytona Beach, where a woman allegedly used an interesting tactic to wash away DNA after murdering her roommate. According to Fox 35,
she murdered a guy.
Yeah. She murdered
a guy or a woman?
I don't know yet. According to Fox 35, a cop was flagged down early on the morning of July 1 regarding a fire visible at a home on Clark Street. Firefighters were called in and extinguished the blaze, but discovered the body of a man laying on the floor upstairs. He had blunt force trauma to the back of his head and multiple stab wounds to his torso.
Oh, the dude's 79. Look at here. He was identified as a 79-year-old Michael. Sarah, you're Italian. You read that.
Carasoli.
Oh, wow. You nailed it, dude. You said it like it was nothing. I would not have said that. She's 35 and her roommate's a 79-year-old dude. Like, is she just like sleeping with him for like rent money or something? She kind of looks like someone who'd sleep with the dude for rent money.
I don't know, but it's kind of like you're 79 years old. You're at the tail end of your life. You finally made it through the other side. Only a couple years left, and that's how you go. That is tough. That is tough, man. A few hours later, around 3:30 a.m., a police officer located at Max at a Crystal's. What? She was carrying a hammer and knife, had blood on her leg, no shoes, and her shirt was blood covered and torn up. Fortunately, she dropped the weapons and surrendered when approached, but her story began taking many wild turns from here. I mean, first she claimed to be homeless. And she didn't know the victim. Then she admitted she was his roommate. But she said she didn't see him that day and typically carried hammers and knives.
What? How do you just typically carry hammers and knives with you? Like, is she just a handy woman who's like, well, I always got to have this hammer around in case someone needs me to like shingle some shit real fast?
Because they caught her. What the fuck? Because they caught her and she had to make up an excuse. Like, I know I got these knives and hammers on me, but I always carry them with me. Always.
All right. So, like, if you don't have a bloody knife on you, then, like, are you even an American? Like, don't we all just have bloody knives on us at all times?
She became increasingly more agitated when the fire was brought up, and she was then placed in custody. She asked for a drink in an effort to calm her down. Officers gave her a can of Diet Mountain Dew, but she continued acting strangely, and when officers tried to grab that can from her, she began pouring it over her head and clothes in an effort to cover the blood evidence all over her. She continued fighting with the cops, but they were able to subdue her and get what was needed to run a DNA test. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine how exciting it must be to be a cop in Florida?
Oh my God. You know what? I think I need to just move. Like they never. Yeah. I don't know. Dude, this story's just.
Her DNA was found on a knife located in the house nearby the murdered man, and she remains in custody with no bail. Her lawyers at first entered a non-guilty plea, but are now asking for a mental health check.
You think?
She's not competent to stand trial.
Well,
I mean,
the woman's literally just walking around town without shoes and has a bloody knife on her. And she's like, yeah, well, you know, I always just have bloody knives and hammers on me. That's just what I do. And then she's like, well, actually, speaking of dew, I think I'll just pour the dew on me to like get rid of the evidence. None of this makes sense. This lady's fucking out of her mind. Like, where's the meth involved? Like, how's
so? I think I think it's an opinion piece because the person's like, first off, absolutely tragic for the Carasoli family. We're sending prayers for them and hope the justice system does what it's intended to do. But also, why is a 35-year-old woman living with a 79-year-old man?
Didn't I just ask that? Like,
I know.
A few minutes
was
ago?
Clearly a bit crazy, so I'm sure there's a long, convoluted backstory which led us here. Yeah.
I think she's a homeless chick who was porking at him for rent.
So
I think that's her rent.
That's our Florida man story. Pretty solid story. It's pretty good.
I'm just still befuddled. Like, honestly, like it takes a lot to get the words out of me, but just that headline alone, just the befuddlement I have just reading that the Florida woman covers herself in Mountain Dew to wash away DNA evidence after murdering her 79-year-old roommate, who I'm pretty sure there was an arrangement there.
And at one point, at one point in her life, she was allowed to vote. Imagine.
I don't think she's not the kind of person who ever exercised that right. You know what I'm talking about. You know, you see people and you talk to some people.
That guy's never walked into a ballot.
Yeah, you're like, they're not civically conscious. They're not voting, you know. I don't know. But if she did, it was probably for Bush.
All right, next up, Florida rapper Gunplay arrested after pointing gun at wife and baby over Xbox dispute.
What? Yes. Another Florida. God damn it, Florida. You are just the gift that keeps on giving.
So I think it's kind of fitting that his name is Gunplay and he gets arrested for pointing a gun at his wife and baby. How much can you want to play a game like Madden or like NBA 2K? Like so much so that you're going to point a gun at your wife and kid? Like, hey, what are we doing?
If she's interrupting Star Wars Battlefront 2, I mean, come on, man. Like, she's got to go.
I'm almost positive that he's not into Star Wars. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know. You could read the story.
He looks like almost like a young Busta Rhymes, at least from that photo.
Oh, is that? Oh, yeah, kinda.
Yeah. A Florida rapper is facing charges after an alleged domestic violence incident. Richard Morales Jr., better known by his stage name Gunplay, reportedly got into an argument with his wife over his Xbox. This is just so low class. The victim claims that she told her husband, who was highly intoxicated, to keep the noise down while playing his Xbox game when he became violent. Like, Jesus. The arrest report states that Morales started throwing glass cups and liquor bottles, prompting the victim to cover the couple's 6-month-old baby with a blanket to shield her from the flying glass. Like, what is wrong with people?
A lot. There are so many things wrong with people.
Like, this is ridiculous. Like, hey, turn the Xbox down, bitch. No, let me throw shit at my baby. Like, this guy kind of
it's not even a handgun. Read the next sentence.
He then picked up a rifle and pointed it at his wife's chest and threatened to shoot her. The victim claimed she was carrying the baby at the time. What the hell is wrong with this guy?
Jesus Christ, man.
The victim then reportedly tried to leave, but says her husband would not allow her to and attempted to take the baby away, grabbing the infant by the neck and head. Well, I'm going to go on a limb here and say this guy's probably going to go to jail.
Yeah.
I hope he does anyways for a very long time. This is a fucking idiot. The victim was eventually able to leave the apartment with the baby before police arrived and took Morales into custody. Gunplay Morales embarked on his career in hip-hop as a member of the fellow Florida-based rapper Rick Ross's southern hip-hop group Triple C's. He was also featured on MTV reality show Love and Hip Hop in Miami. Morales is now facing several charges, including aggravated battery and child abuse.
So,
obviously, these are all allegedly. But if this
allegedly,
if he's found guilty of these charges, I hope he goes to jail for a pretty long time because that's fucked up. I mean, it's bad enough that you're going to get mad over being told to like turn your Xbox off, that you're going to like abuse your wife or pull out a gun or whatever, but she has your baby with you.
It's crazy.
Like, that's just absurd. What is wrong with this guy?
Just people are fucked up.
But it is awfully ironic. The dude's stage name's Gunplay, and he's got arrested on gun charges.
Third person from Florida in the last 3 stories to be batshit crazy.
There's something wrong with that state, and I know what it is, because after just 4 days of grueling 90-degree heat, 95-degree heat, 100-degree heat with high humidity, I'm going crazy. And it's only been like 4 days. These people put up with it all the time.
Oh, you think it's the weather?
Yeah. I think the
Could
weather
be.
just melts their brains down there.
Bro, the Florida humidity is insane. Like, I've been there so many times, probably 30 times. It's crazy. I would never want to live there, ever. Ever.
No.
All right, let's switch it up. Let's move away from the state of Florida. Kansas. Affidavits reveal what evidence police used to raid Kansas newspapers. Now, you know what's happening in the story. I don't really know about this story at all. So explain.
Basically, this looks like it's a follow-up to a story in it's a small town in Kansas, in I believe Marion County, and the police just literally searched and seized everything at the newspaper, and no one knows why. And it was a pretty big story. Scroll down. Let's see if we can get into some of the details. They say it's one of the most egregious First Amendment violations in recent memory. So this is the story's coming out of Kansas City, Missouri here. The KSHB 41I team obtained 3 affidavits in relation to the raids on the Marion County Record, which is the newspaper, and the owner's home and city vice mayor's home. The affidavits provided by the attorney for the newspaper lay out what evidence police used to get a judge to sign off on a warrant to search the property. The 9-page affidavit to search the home of Eric Meyer, owner of the Marion County Record, reveals much of what's already known. Marion Chief of Police Gideon Cody accused the newspaper of illegally obtaining Carrie Newell's driver information. This all just stems through they're mad that they reported on a DUI. The police were mad that the paper reported on one of their friends having a DUI. Literally.
And who was the friend?
Carrie Newell. I believe Carrie Newell's I think the judge is involved in this too. It's been like a week since I read the story, but I know like the judge is who signed off on the thing is involved in this also. I think the judge had like some misdemeanor or whatever that she didn't want reported either. But I'm just going off of memory from reading a story about this from last week, because this is a follow-up to a story that's pretty old at the moment. So, or not pretty old, for about a week and a half old. So Cody claimed the crimes involved in this case were identity theft and unlawful use of a computer. Cody is the police chief. The claim Cody presents in the affidavit to the judge as to how the alleged crimes were committed is also already known. The newspaper downloaded Newell's driving record from a state website, something the newspaper admitted to doing. But here's the thing, like, it's public information. That's not illegal. I don't think so anyways. I'm not a lawyer, but that doesn't sound like it's illegal to me. Mayer previously told reporters he's the one who contacted police concerned that a tip his staff received from Newell's driving record may have been illegally obtained. Cody confirms in the affidavit he learned of the situation through the email. So this is all a bunch of blah, blah, blah that goes on. The affidavit from Cody goes on to accuse Phyllis Zorn, an employee. Could you scroll down for me here? It goes on to accuse Phyllis Zorn, an employee at the newspaper, of downloading Newell's information from a state website, something Zorn admitted to doing by using her own information. Cody claims Zorn broke the law, writing, downloading the document involved either impersonating the victim or lying about the reasons the record was being sought. Yet Cody acknowledged DOR information from Zorn was the person who accessed the information. So basically, this is just all bullshit. They were mad that the paper reported literally on just a DUI, and they got a judge to sign off on them. They got the judge to sign off on a search warrant, and they seized everything from the newspaper's home and the newspaper, when basically violating freedom of the press.
Right. So what is there, a lawsuit or what's going on right now?
I'm not sure. This is kind of the update, but I think these affidavits are kind of, my opinion is like, this is just all sketchy small town cop shit. So Meyer told reporters his staff began looking into Newell's driving record history based on a tip the newspaper received in a message through social media. The affidavit acknowledges Meyer sent the tip to police, which was a screenshot of Newell's DOR information. Bernie Rose, the newspaper's attorney, said Zorn did nothing illegal under state law. The only other claim Cody makes in the affidavit as a means for searching Meyer's personal and business properties is that Newell claims Meyer threatened her during a phone call, stating she said, "If you pursue anything, I will print the story and will continue to use everything I can to come at you. I will own your restaurant." This is Newell is a bar owner and restaurant owner in Marion County, Kansas, in this small town. And she's a friend of the cops. And the cop, so basically she's just mad that the paper was going to report on her driving record, which involved a DUI.
Right.
And they got the police to just basically raid the newspaper over it. It's like small town bullcrap, police abuse, basically. And it happens all over small town America.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched the documentary, man, on, I think it was Netflix, where a guy like raped this lady. He walked into a school, raped this lady during like Sunday school. The lady was the husband of a cop in that town, right? They could not find the guy for years. Fast forward 6 years later, and the guy that raped her was the sheriff in another town in another state that he ended up moving to. And the only reason that they found out that he was the person that raped her was because he murdered somebody in that town while being the sheriff. It was bonkers. But it just goes to drive the point home that like really, really small town cops, especially like higher up cops, man, they have like God complex. Some of them.
It's because they have no real oversight.
Right.
Like in these really rural areas, you're talking like counties with like 10,000 people.
Right.
And, a county that's like larger than the entire city of like New York. You're talking like really rural areas out in the boondocks, out in the middle of nowhere. And these sheriff departments and police departments, they can get away with anything. And they're basically, we probably would have been better served to start from the original reports of this story to kind of give more context of what's going on here. But I know CNN had this story about 2 weeks ago when it first hit, where they're basically calling this one of the most egregious violations of the First Amendment they've ever seen. When you have the police force raiding and confiscating the computers of a newspaper. It's like, because that is the First Amendment. Like everyone likes to cry on Twitter and all that stuff about, oh, our First Amendment means we can say racist stuff on Twitter and people shouldn't get mad at us about it because of the First Amendment. That's not what the First Amendment is. The First Amendment is the freedom of the press. And you have the police cracking down on the press because they were just going to report on their buddy, because their buddy's this bar owner or at this in this small town, and the bar owner didn't want them reporting on their driving record. Really, it's so petty. So the police are basically just, so you got these small town cops convincing a judge, who I know the judge is under fire too for signing off on this search warrant. So you got like these small town cops on this God complex basically now finding themselves in a national news story for massive First Amendment violations. They're probably going to get sued into oblivion over this, all because, they just wanted to protect one of the good old boys in the town and that's the funny thing is like these small town newspapers, like half the newspaper is just, people, the like the back page of these papers in these small towns is just them posting, police reports. So like literally just, it's very normal in these small towns to just like see someone, oh, Bill John got a DUI, last week, or some stuff like that. That's basically like half of what these papers are. Or they're just talking about farm futures or something. So yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy that this happened. And it's insane. Like, some of the craziest stories actually happen in small town America, because I don't know what it is about like these small town cops, but a lot of them do have God complexes. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next up. Shop owner shot, killed over a rainbow flag outside store in California.
Now, this is a crazy story. I remember reading the headline on this one. It's California. Like, how is someone like that upset over a rainbow flag outside a shop in California, of all places?
I don't know, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
All right. So, the owner of a clothing shop in Cedar Glen was shot and killed Friday night, August 18th, after a person made several disparaging comments about a rainbow flag displayed outside the store, authorities said. The suspect was found nearby by arriving deputies who shot and killed him, San Bernardino County Sheriff's officials said. So the guy got killed too.
Yeah, I've been there a bunch of times, a couple times. My uncle lives in that town.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So deputies responded to the Magpie clothing store on Hook Creek Road around 5 p.m. and found the victim, identified as Laura Ann Carleton, 66, outside the store suffering from a gunshot wound. Carleton was pronounced dead at the scene. Deputies received information the suspect, a man, was seen on Torrey Road, east of the highway, and found him near some other road about a mile north of the store, officials said. Well, it led to authorities shooting him was not immediately disclosed. I don't know, probably because the guy had a gun and just killed a woman, and he didn't want to be taken alive, is going to be my guess. Carleton, known as Lori, operated 2 Magpie stores in Studio City and Cedar Glen.
Hang on, what is Magpie? Like, what is that?
It's a clothing store.
Oh, okay.
So, with the Cedar Glen location opening in the summer of 2021, according to posts from business social media pages, I thought everything was shut down in 2021. Additional details are not available at the time.
Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess some dude got shot, killed over a rainbow flag. Getting killed over a rainbow flag in California is odd.
Well, here's what I want to know. Like, how insecure and hateful are you that you're just going to, like, shoot someone over a rainbow flag? Especially because, like, I don't know if California is anything like around here, but, like, the more progressive and liberal areas of my city, like, every storefront, bar, restaurant, or whatever has rainbow flags outside of it. So,
yeah.
I don't understand how, like, you could be, and I live in Nebraska, for fuck's sakes. I mean, we're not exactly a bastion of progressivism in this state, but, even when I go to this bar and restaurant district, one of my favorite bar and restaurant districts here in town, like, literally it's just covered with, like, rainbow flags at, like, every storefront, and no one bothers anyone down there. It's fine. So I don't understand how,
and it's Nebraska. Yeah,
I don't understand how, like, in California, like, you got this guy all mad over seeing a rainbow flag in a storefront. I would just assume that that's just what they do in even more liberal places than where I live.
He probably saw like 100,000 rainbow flags, and like 100,001 just broke the back. He was like, "That's it. I'm done. I can't deal with the rainbow anymore. I'm done."
I don't understand I honestly don't understand people who, like, the bigotry. Like, why do you just let it bother you that much what other people do with their lives?
Bro, that's what I can't agree more. And that was like the whole my whole view on, like, gay marriage back in the day. I'm like, if you want to let another group of people be miserable from getting married, let them do them. It's none of my business who somebody else marries. Get a grip.
Not everyone's miserable in marriage, Jay, just because you got How many
Maybe, two. Maybe I feel that way. Maybe I feel that way because I was never like very religious, and it doesn't mean much to me. Like,
from the religious standpoint.
Yeah, like I guess that's the big, the big problem that people have with it. But I was like, man, let gay people do whatever the fuck they want. If they're not bothering me, more power to them. Live your life. Do you? You know what I mean?
And then, so not only does this guy end this woman's life, his life gets ended too. It's just kind of a tragic story. And,
it is.
But you see a lot of it on like some of these like weird conservative social media now, where they're like, it seems like all of a sudden like there's this huge backlash against gay people in these conservative communities, and it seemed like it was like kind of like simmered down a lot over the last several years, and then just like exploded in this last year. Everyone getting mad at Target for having a pride display that they've had up for literally a couple decades now. Everyone getting mad at Bud Light for having the audacity of some trans girl making one Instagram post about how she thinks Bud Light's good beer. Honestly, Bud Light's terrible beer. But and the real tragedy about that whole Bud Light-ish situation is now, since I've always preferred Miller Lite to Bud Light, now everyone thinks that I'm making some kind of political statement because I'm buying Miller Lite instead. I'm like, I've been buying Miller Lite instead for 20 fucking years, and that was never a political statement. It's just more flavorful than Bud Light. What do I gotta say? I almost want to just start drinking Bud Light just to piss off the conservatives, but it's disgusting. I can't do it.
All right, moving on. This I did not hear about at all, which is weird. I don't even know how to say that name. Chandrayaan-3, India makes historic landing near the moon's south pole.
Chandrayaan-3, the craft, it's a spacecraft. India makes historic landing near the moon's south pole.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So India has made history as its moon mission becomes the first to land on the lunar South Pole region. With this, India joins an elite club of countries to achieve a soft landing on the moon after the U.S., the former Soviet Union, and China. And this is what's crazy is India just now landed on the moon and I'm basing this purely off of my own interactions with the Indian people. How the hell does a country of nothing but engineers and doctors not landed on the moon yet?
I don't know.
All I'm saying is every single Indian person I've met in my entire 39 years on this planet has been either an engineer or a doctor.
They're all smarter than us, all of them.
Absolutely. They're an engineer and a doctor, and they drive a Lexus.
Yep.
So I'm trying to figure out, okay, how did this country of literally, there's like 1.5 billion people in India. So how the hell did a country of 1 billion engineers just now make it to the moon?
Kind of weird.
It is kind of weird. Maybe my views on the Indian people skewed by the fact that I'm in America and I've only met American immigrants or Indian immigrants in America. So maybe I don't. I'm a little skewed on their percentages of how many of them are actually engineers. But anyways, so the Vikram lander from Chandrayaan-3 successfully touched down as planned at 18:04 local time. Celebrations have broken out across the country with Prime Minister Narendra Modi saying India is now on the moon. We have reached where no other country could. It's a joyous occasion, he added. Mr. Modi was watching the event live from South Africa, where he is attending the BRICS summit. Oh, the BRICS summit, by the way, is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They're a trading agreement pack or whatever. So that's what BRICS is. India's Space Research Organization chief Sridhara Panikkar Sama. These Indian names are like fucking killing.
They are tough, man. They're tough.
Said the successful landing is not our work alone. This is the work of a generation of ISRO scientists. India's achievement comes just days after Russia's Luna 25 spacecraft spun out of control and crashed into the moon.
I didn't even hear about that either.
Well, Vladimir Putin doesn't want you to know that he wrecked a freaking spacecraft.
Yeah.
The crash also put the spotlight on how difficult it is to land in the South Pole region, where the surface is very uneven and full of craters and boulders. India's second lunar mission, which also attempted to soft land there in 2019, was unsuccessful. Its lander and rover were destroyed, though its orbiter survived. On Wednesday, tense moments preceded the touchdown as the lander, called Vikram, after the ISRO founder Vikram Sarabhai, began its precarious descent, carrying within its belly the 26-kilogram rover named Pragyan, the Sanskrit word for wisdom. The lander's speed was gradually reduced, and in a few hours, scientists say once the dust has settled, the six-wheeled rover will crawl out of the lander's belly and roam around the rocks and craters on the moon's surface, gathering crucial data and images to be sent to the Earth. I think these kind of stories are pretty cool. I don't understand why we slowed down on all the space exploration, when the Apollo mission stopped.
That can't be a real picture, is it? It can't possibly be that clear.
I think that, I don't know, like, what did they do? Like, shoot out a camera to the ground to take a photo of them landing?
I don't know, but that seems fake. That seems like it's impossible.
So it says, what next for the India's moon mission? One of the mission's major goals is to hunt for water-based ice, which scientists say could support human habitation on the moon in the future. Why do we want to live on the moon? Why don't we figure out how to fix the planet we're on now?
I don't know. I think it's the same thing with Elon. He just wants us to have a backup plan if Earth shits the bed, super volcano destroys the Earth, nuclear war, us having another out would be nice. So I guess I get it.
I guess. The lander and rover are carrying 5 scientific instruments which will help discover the physical characteristics of the surface of the moon. It's a rock. The atmosphere close to the surface and the tectonic activity to study what goes on below the surface of the moon. So honestly, I think we need to stop spending so much money on the military and start spending more money on this kind of stuff,
Yeah, pretty cool though.
If we did more space exploration, maybe eventually we could go to other planets.
Wow, there's been that many manned landings on the moon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
There's
11,
17.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
How many times have we been on the moon?
15.
Wow.
All those Apollo missions were manned missions to the moon, dude.
Yeah, I guess that's true. What Armstrong, when they were the first, that wasn't Apollo 1, was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
All those the moon missions were the Apollo missions. Those were all the moon missions.
No, that I know, but I didn't know if they made it on the first try.
Oh, I don't know. A lot of people think it was all a hoax at first.
A lot of people still
the hoax all 15 times because they kept going every other year.
A lot of people still think it's a hoax.
I don't know. Maybe videotaping it was, but I don't think they made it a hoax 15 different times.
I don't know. God bless them. More power to you. All right, finally, bail set for most defendants in the Georgia election case. Trump says he'll surrender on Thursday. I know you have a lot to say. Go.
It's hilarious. This is just the funniest thing to me. Donald Trump, did you? So do you see that they all have their mugshots now? Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, all those people, they all have their mugshots. And Donald Trump, the bail set for Donald Trump is $200,000.
I did not see all the mugshots. No, I did not.
Well, the funny
Mike's
thing about the Georgia case is this is the one where he cannot be pardoned by anybody.
Why?
Because it's a state case, so the president can't pardon him. And the governor of Georgia cannot pardon him because under Georgia law, it has to go to a pardons board. So it's not even like he could just say, hey, Governor, whatever the name of the governor of Georgia is, why don't you go ahead and pardon me? The governor of Georgia can't pardon him from this. So a Fulton County Superior Court judge has set bond for more than half of the 19 defendants charged in District Attorney Fannie Willis's election interference case. Judge Scott McAfee, or
McAfee, Jesus Christ.
Just like the software. Judge Scott McAfee on Tuesday set former Trump attorney Jenna Ellis's bail at $100,000 a day after setting the former president's bond at $200,000. Later Tuesday, he set bond for, it doesn't matter what he said all their bonds for. Ellis is accused of making false statements to overturn the 2020 election and soliciting public officials to unlawfully appoint presidential electors. She, Trump, and 17 others were charged last week in a sweeping racketeering indictment for alleged efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in the state of Georgia. The former president says his actions were not illegal and that the investigation is politically motivated. I think he's completely wrong on it not being illegal. It was completely illegal. And I think he might be right that the investigation is politically motivated.
Oh, it definitely, yeah, for sure.
Well, it's politics. It's always politically motivated. But at the same time, it was illegal as fuck.
Georgia's kind of like the new Florida, right? Like Florida, the days of Florida going blue, I think, are gone. That's a red state now, probably. But Georgia's kind of purple now.
Kinda?
Yeah, it could go either way.
Yeah. I mean, you got two senators now from Georgia that are Democrats. Biden won Georgia despite Trump's protests. And but their governor, he won re-election pretty handily. And he's a Republican. So, yeah, it's kind of like 50-50.
It kind of feels like the new Florida because Florida is just redder than red.
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know how red Florida is or if it's just they like Trump. Or if it's just that their Democratic Party, Florida is just so in shambles and that, I don't know. Florida's just nuts. So, but anyways, Ellis is facing 2 counts, including 1 count of solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer. That's a mouthful of a charge. Following her indictment last week, she responded on social media saying that Democrats and the Fulton County DA are criminalizing the practice of law. I am resolved to trust the Lord. That is one thing I do not want a lawyer. If she was ever my lawyer in any case, she goes, well, let's just trust the Lord. I'm like, bitch, how about I trust your ability to get me out of this situation?
Like I said, the state
God's not my lawyer, lady. You are. Like, what the fuck?
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. If I heard that, I don't know what my response would be.
Yeah. According to investigators, Chile presented video clips to legislatures on election workers at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta and alleged that the workers were counting votes twice or sometimes 3 times. Prosecutors say Lee worked with others to try to pressure Georgia election worker Ruby Freeman and her daughter after Trump and his allies falsely accused them of pulling fraudulent ballots from a suitcase during the vote count. Now, the thing about this lady and her daughter is Rudy Giuliani has already admitted that he lied about them, and they're also suing him for defamation. So Rudy Giuliani already has his own issues with that whole Ruby Freeman fiasco, where they're basically lying about this mother and daughter about how they were like fraudulently doing the election.
One of the biggest fall from graces ever is Rudy Giuliani. From like being like the guy that stopped the mob to being like the mayor of America to this is just crazy.
It's insane. Yeah, I was wondering, like, how the hell did Rudy Giuliani fall this far?
It's unreal, man. It really is.
Like, the dude just comes off like a total crackpot.
And like a creep now. He's creepy.
Oh, yeah, like that video of him in the bedroom with that like teenager.
Yeah.
Oh, that was creepy too. So McAfee also Tuesday set bail for Coffee County GOP chair Kathy Latham and for former Trump official Michael Roman. Latham is one of 16 Georgia Republicans who signed a certificate falsely stating that Trump had won the state, while Roman served as director of election day operations for Trump's 2020 reelection campaign and was involved in the plan to organize the so-called fake electors in battleground states. These defendants for whom bail has been set have begun turning themselves in for processing at the Fulton County Jail. And you can see all their mugshots. All have been given until Friday at noon to surrender. The former president said Monday evening on a social media platform that he intends to surrender in Georgia on Thursday. In addition to Trump, Judge McAfee set bond for attorneys John Eastman and Kenneth Chesebro, for Ray Smith III and Scott Hall, the wrestler.
He's dead, I think. Isn't he dead?
Yeah, that's probably why his bail's only $10,000.
He might not be dead. I could be wrong.
No, yeah, he died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So all the defendants' bonds agreements include a provision that they shall perform no act to intimidate any person known to him or her to be a confidant or witness in the case or to otherwise obstruct the administration of justice. Well, I don't think Trump's going to follow that. Trump's bond agreement says that includes no direct or indirect threat against co-defendants or witnesses. The above shall include, but not be limited to, posts on social media or posts made by another individual on social media, his agreement says. So they made a special bond agreement for Trump to basically say, stay the fuck off social media.
So, like, my mom calls me, like, all the time, and she's like, did you see? Or did you watch the news? They're going to get him. They're going to put him in jail. And I'm like, Mom, stop. Don't do this to yourself. He's not. He's never going to jail.
I don't think he's going to go to jail, but I'm having fun with this. This is fun for me. So did you see on Truth Social?
No, I don't go on there. No.
Well, I don't go on there either, but he was posting on Truth Social that just opining that he should just get in his big, beautiful, perfect private jet that says Trump all over it, because he has to talk about how it's gold plated and everything, his private jet.
Nice.
But he's talking about how he should just get into his private jet and fly to Russia and hang out with Vladimir Putin and skip out on all this.
I mean, why not?
Well, if you're trying to get out on bail and then you openly opine on social media that you can just take your private jet to another country and avoid trial,
right?
Aren't you basically just taunting and daring the judge to deny your bail?
So that would be living in a world where, you know, normal rules apply to Donald Trump. They just don't. They just don't.
I just have this fantasy that that the judge reads those and just says, actually, fuck you, bail denied. And then, like, literally Trump's now in jail until trial. It's not going to happen.
Never happen.
I said fantasy. Okay. It's like I have a fantasy of winning the lottery. Never going to happen. But I said fantasy. I'm not saying I think this is going to happen. But it's within the judge's right to just say, fuck it, and put him in jail, deny his bail, citing that. Like, how the hell, when you're like out on $200,000 bail, do you just openly taunt on social media that you can just fly your private jet to another country and completely avoid all and just
so like let's say a judge is like, fuck that, I'm putting this guy in jail, right? The state of this country right now is
my god,
there would be 10,000 people with torches outside the judge's house that night that he put him in jail. That's where we're at now.
And that might be the reason why it won't actually happen.
Right.
I don't know. Well, here's the most baffling thing to me about this whole Donald Trump thing is like these people love him. And I don't really know why.
They love him because he's a billionaire that speaks for the everyman, which makes a ton of sense. It's how we got elected. I mean, have you ever seen somebody with a better populist message than a billionaire in New York? It's unbelievable, but it's true.
It's insane.
Like, I know.
I never would imagine that a president would just. Cause you talk to like Trump supporters, right? And I know like a lot of people, tons of people, way more than you, who voted for Trump. And most of the people I know who voted for Trump think this whole thing's nonsense. Like they kind of like over it. They're like, oh God, they're like ambivalent about like that whole January 6th thing. A lot of them are like, oh God, that was a bad look, or they were just done with him after January 6th. They're like, yo, that was a bridge too far.
But I'll tell you what though, Ant, you know why everybody was like the whole January 6th thing? They were like, oh, whatever. Because they pushed that bullshit, fake Trump Russia collusion narrative, and tried to impeach him, and it just made people suspect.
Dig their heels in.
Yeah, and they just don't believe, because it was bullshit. That is the truth. It was total bullshit. There was no collusion.
Yeah, and they never should have impeached him for that.
Right, and then when something like January 6th happens, that is serious. It puts people in a defensive position from jump because of that whole bullshit that happened when they tried to impeach him. And that's why they're in this mess that they're in right now, Democrats.
Yeah, I think impeaching him the first time was a huge mistake because it was just so dumb and flimsy. They could have picked a bunch of things to try and impeach him for. The guy's corrupt as all get out, but that whole Russia thing. But I know lots of Trump voters who are like kind of over the guy at this point. They're like, I like his policies, and I liked how he kind of told it while it was, but now he's just a big headache. But the fans, like the people who really love Trump, are like into him more than ever. And that's like, he's running away with the nomination right now because there's so many people in the Republican Party running for president. It's absolutely absurd that they got like 12 people running for president right now in the Republican Party. They really need to just coalesce around one person who isn't Ron DeSantis, because despite how Ron DeSantis was pumped up, for a long time, he's going to be the big one. I think it's pretty apparent that he's not it. Like, he's just not it. He's got the personality of a wet towel.
Where Donald Trump is brilliant is
he's hilarious.
There's a debate. There's absolutely, he knows none of them have a chance to beat him. There's no reason for him to show up to that debate. So what does he do? He tapes him and Tucker Carlson interview that's going to do 10 times the numbers that debate does, that will be aired at basically the exact same time. And that's fucking brilliant. That's where he just doesn't give a fuck. And he's right. Nobody's going to watch that debate. Everybody's going to watch that interview. And none of them have a chance. You won't see him at a debate until he
this is the problem with the Republican
in the general.
Party, so,
and I'll tell you what, if they don't, I don't think Joe Biden beats him. They better fucking find somebody else, man.
This is the problem with Democrat, or the problem with Republicans at this moment is they don't fall in line the way Democrats do. And I'm talking about like the Republican Party, not necessarily the voters. The party itself, if they really wanted, like I said, the party itself does not want Trump, like the heads of the party. They don't want Trump running right now. They do not want Trump. They want one of their other puppets or whatever. But their problem is there's too many of them in that pot. Trump's going to win the nomination with like 45% of the vote, right? There's plenty of voters out there in the Republican Party who are not dug in on Trump, but will probably vote for Trump, but maybe they might like someone else. They don't know. The problem with the Republicans is they need to clear out the 12 guys that some party head needs to tell these 12 guys, get the fuck out of the race. This is our guy. They need to just pick their guy who's going to go ahead before Iowa. Not before Super Tuesday primaries. Before Iowa and New Hampshire, they need to have a 1v1 or they have no shot at taking out Trump. But the Republican Party's not that aligned on itself to be able to pull that off. The Democrats can. When Bernie, you and I saw it during the last presidential election. Bernie Sanders was looking like he was going to run away with it. He was winning the primaries, with because there were 6 people in the Democratic primary. And like right before the big states all started hitting, everybody dropped out and endorsed Biden.
They all got in a room and said, it can't be Bernie. So everybody's got to take a bullet for somebody.
Yes.
Right.
And everyone dropped out at once.
Right.
Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota, who was ahead of Biden in the polls, dropped out the night before the Minnesota primary and endorsed Biden. That's how in line the Democrats were in making sure they all supported one person to get it 1v1 to eliminate Bernie.
This time, I think they make a mistake if they go with Biden again.
I agree with you. They need
if somebody doesn't sit him down and says, listen, Joe, it's like you said it was going to be a one-term holdover, and you're literally mentally declining in front of the country like daily.
He's got people in Hawaii saying "fuck you."
If you don't want a Republican to be president, then you got to get out, or then it's going to be Trump 2024. Period. That's where I'm.
Yeah, it's not only is Biden mentally declining, but everybody knows that a vote for Biden is a 50% vote for his vice president, because if Biden does win in 2024 and he takes office, when he takes his second term, he'll be 82.
And as bad as he's been, she's a fucking nightmare, dude.
Yeah, everyone hates Kamala Harris. There's a reason why Kamala Harris dropped out before Iowa. She is anti-charisma. I'm a diehard Democrat. I've never voted for a Republican in my life. And I cannot pull the lever for Kamala Harris. Oh my God, I cannot stand her. She's the worst. And that's everyone I know who's a Democrat thinks the same thing. No one likes Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Everyone's baffled that he picked her in the first goddamn place. It was a stupid selection. I honestly think he has buyer's remorse.
Well, I think there's a chance that if they are going to go with Biden, they might pick a new VP.
They're pussies. They wouldn't do that. Trump would. You know what I mean? Like if Mike Pence had just pissed Trump off before all that, and he was running in 2020, Trump would have dumped Pence. You know what I'm saying? But Biden won't do that. The Democrats are too pussy for that shit. They won't dump her. They won't even dump him. They need to. Gavin Newsom is begging to become president. Gavin Newsom's just waiting in the wings in case something happens to Biden. Gavin Newsom's smart. He's got himself set up. He set himself up behind the scenes that if anything happens with Biden, he's going to just leapfrog in there and put his hat in. But the problem is like someone needs to run against him who's viable. RFK Jr. ain't it. I'm sorry. You cannot be a total anti-vaxxer and be on every single right-wing conspiracy podcast and be taken seriously by Democratic primary voters. So I know that RFK Jr. is technically a primary challenge to Joe Biden, but that ain't it, people. That ain't it.
If they pick one guy, if they do the exact same thing, what you said about like Republicans and Democrats go 1v1 against Biden in the Democratic primary, then I think that they would beat him.
Biden will lose.
Yeah.
If
they won't do it.
Gavin Newsom is polarizing, not necessarily because he's like a bad politician per se, but just because California just has so many problems.
Also, the biggest platform right now in the nation destroys him daily. Joe Rogan despises that guy. He does not stop talking shit about Gavin Newsom, the shit show that is California, and thinks he's largely responsible. And he's got 15 million people that listen to that podcast.
Yeah. So, but I don't have like good or bad feelings about Gavin Newsom one way or the other. You already know my opinions on the problems of California. I don't think that's necessarily Gavin Newsom. That's deeply entrenched in local politics for decades and decades and decades in California. And you can talk to Californians about their fucking problems with NIMBYism and all their other issues that they got there. That's, I don't necessarily think is Gavin Newsom's problem, or fault. But I'm like, the governor from Minnesota is doing great things up there. Honestly, he's probably the most effective governor right now. Or you can get, just picture this, right? Who are some of the best politicians in the country?
Governors
from states of the opposite party that they are.
Yep.
Like, you ever talk to that Hogan guy or watch that Hogan guy from Maryland, a 2-term Republican governor in Maryland, one of the most popular governors in the country. You know, that dude sounded logical as hell. The guy from Kentucky, Republican state, 2-term governor, Democrat in Kentucky, 2-term governor, super popular. The governor of Kansas is a Democrat. In her 2nd term, she won in a landslide. Kansas, Republican state Kansas, elected in a landslide for a 2nd term a Democrat for their governor. So you get these governors from these states, like these Democrats or these Republicans who are in like states that are normally the opposite, and you actually like start talking and you see like interviews and discussions with these kind of governors. They're some of the best politicians in the country because they won in a state they shouldn't have. So they won over bipartisan support, right? Larry Hogan had to win over how many Democrats to be a 2-term governor in Maryland? You know, Bashir and the lady in Kansas had to win over how many Republicans to be 2-term mega popular governors in Kansas and Kentucky? Recruit the guy from fucking Kentucky then. Or the lady from Kansas. Because obviously they know how to talk to Republicans. You know what I'm saying? Just fucking get them. Recruit them. Make some fucking super PAC. Tell Grandpa. I mean, because you could just tell Joe that he actually isn't running for president again and he's stepping down. And he'll just believe you. He doesn't fucking remember. Unfile the paperwork to run. And just make one of these fucking Democratic governors from a Republican state. Put them out there. They'll probably beat Trump in a landslide because Trump won't. I don't know. It's just, I think Joe Biden is the only Democrat who could lose to Donald Trump in the general election.
You could be right. Well, and Kamala.
Ugh. Yeah, you're right. I literally think, because Donald Trump's not that popular. He's polarizing. He's popular amongst the people who like him, but the people who hate him really hate him, and the people in the middle of the country, the independents who are the ones who decide elections,
prefer somebody that's reasonable.
Yeah, it's the 10% of the country who are independents decide all the elections, and that's what's going to happen here. Is that 10% will vote for a normal ass Democrat over Donald Trump 100% of the time. Donald Trump lost the popular vote by millions when he beat Hillary.
Yeah.
So like that's my point is just a normal ass Democrat who can speak to the independent type people, you know, a Democratic governor from a Republican state. Wink, wink. I already said that. Just get one of those who can speak to like center-minded independent folk. And Donald Trump doesn't even get 45% of the goddamn popular vote.
He lost the popular vote, but I mean, he did like he broke the record of like anybody in terms of popular vote count in previous elections total. It just so happened that Hillary had a couple million more. You know what I mean?
You mean total vote count?
Yeah,
it's called voter turnout. There's actual voter turnout in the country.
No, what I'm saying is like the popular vote, his raw number of people that voted for him is the second most in the history of the country. He just lost to Hillary, who's the most in the history of the country.
Well, actually, Joe Biden got the most in history because the 2020 election broke the record of the 2016.
Oh, okay, right.
But
so a lot of people voted.
Voter turnout. But yeah, we're rambling on now. We're over time. But that's just my point is I think the Democrats are making a huge mistake by running Biden out there again for another term. And I think the Republicans are making a huge mistake by not it's like herding cats with them right now with all these guys. They need to fucking get it down to 1v1 before Iowa, and they're not going to do it.
Nope. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be a war.
The campaign might be interesting, but post 2024, when one of these guys is going to be our president, we're all losers.
It will be the first time somebody died in office since when?
Kennedy got assassinated.
That's going to happen if one of those.
Not an assassination. Don't say that. Just
no. I mean, just from old age. One of these guys, there's a good chance that one of them might die of old age.
Yeah.
In office. Yeah. It's crazy.
All right. So all I say is the 2024 election will be entertaining as hell.
Yep.
And then after that, it's just going to be annihilation because I don't think the country can really deal with either one of them being president. It's just you got a guy who's comatose who could die, and then you have Kamala as our president, or you just have Trump, which is awful sounding too. So it's just like, ugh. All right.
So we're doomed. And that's episode 6 of Ant and Jay Save America. We'll be back next week. Later, boys. We're out.